Something is taking place behind all the silence right now. And if you have been sensing it in recent days, please know that this is not just your imagination playing tricks. There is a final decision taking shape in the hidden space of their heart. And this choice has your presence written clearly across every part of it in ways they cannot easily ignore anymore. They may appear calm and steady from the outside even today. They might act distant or behave in normal ways that seem almost cold at times. But deep inside them, something much more meaningful is shifting and growing stronger with each passing day. A truth they once tried hard to avoid has now become too heavy for them to keep pushing away any longer. If you're sensing someone is making a final decision about you right now, hit like. Stay with these words because the next few minutes carry real importance for you. What they are deciding at this moment is not a small or casual thing in their life. It is not temporary or light in nature at all. Instead, it stands as a true turning point that could shape the path they follow from here onward. They are standing right at the edge of a deep truth that has the power to change the direction of their entire life moving forward. Whether they decide to move closer toward you or step further away, they will not leave this inner moment as the same person they were before. You need to hear this part very clearly without any doubt. The tension you have been noticing has a genuine reason behind it all. The distance between you carries its own purpose, and even the silence holds a deep, palpable meaning. Behind the scenes, a final inner battle is reaching its peak, testing the true nature of who they are deep down. The feelings you sense are entirely real, not wishful thinking or a story born of your own longing, but the quiet movement of someone wrestling with strong emotions because your presence touched something profound. They stand at a major crossroads where every single path leads their thoughts straight back to you. For a long time, they used work, routines, pride, and deliberate distance to distract themselves and weaken the connection. They tried convincing themselves that enough time and space would naturally cause these intense emotions to fade away. Yet, some special bonds refused to dissolve, and the harder they pushed this connection down, the more powerfully it rushed back to the surface. What passed between you was never shallow. It reached the deep layers of their identity that cannot be erased when life feels challenging. Now, they are doing something they never expected, carefully reviewing everything that took place between you. They are examining not just what you meant to them personally, but what this entire connection reveals about who they have become over time. This is the exact moment where the energy shifts in important ways for both of you. Stay tuned and see how this unfolding truth changes everything, because the profound realization they are facing right now will ultimately determine the future of your bond. When someone begins questioning the story they once told themselves about the situation, real change is already much closer than it might appear on the surface. You must understand this important part very well. The decision they are struggling with goes far beyond simply staying or leaving the connection behind them. It reaches into whether they feel ready to face their true self without any masks or defenses in place. That represents the deeper fear they carry inside at this moment. One part of them feels strongly drawn toward you with a natural force that seems almost impossible to resist or avoid completely. Comment decision if you can feel their silence is hiding a big inner battle. Your absence does not feel neutral or ordinary to them in any way. It creates a sense of something important missing, something still unresolved, and something that keeps calling their attention back, no matter how much they try moving forward with life. But another part of them resists with the same powerful strength because facing these honest feelings would require real vulnerability from them. It would ask them to show openness instead of hiding away. It would push them to stop performing strength and actually live with true courage each day. And making real changes like this can feel frightening because it shakes old defenses they built long ago. It breaks familiar patterns they relied upon for safety over the years. It asks a person to release the old identity that once kept them protected from pain. That is exactly why the energy around this situation feels heavier than before. That explains why the connection may seem even more intense now, even while everything stays quiet between you. They are no longer running from the truth they know. Type yes if you want me to reveal what this final decision truly means for you. They are slowly starting to sit with it and examine it more carefully each day. They find themselves forced to ask why you still occupy space in their thoughts so often. They wonder why your memory returns during quiet moments and why no other person has managed to replace the special feelings your presence created inside them before. This moment stands as the threshold right before greater clarity arrives for them. The mind can only fight against itself for a limited time before it must finally choose one clear side to follow. And when that important time comes, the protective mask they wear begins to show cracks and openings. Stay focused with these thoughts because the next developments will reveal whether fear still holds power over them or whether truth finally takes the lead in their heart. If they decide to return, it will not happen because the path suddenly became easy or simple for them. It will happen because they recognize the rare value of what you shared together. They will understand that certain connections do not appear more than once in a lifetime. And if they choose to walk away completely, it will not mean you were somehow not enough for them. It will not mean your love lacked real depth or meaning in their life at all. It will simply show they were not yet prepared for the level of honesty and personal inner change that truly loving you would require from them. That is why your role at this time is not about chasing after them in any way. It is not about forcing outcomes or trying to control what unfolds next between you. Let the truth continue doing its important work in their heart. Let enough time pass so it can reveal things that words alone could never fully show them. What is unfolding inside them carries real weight and depth at this stage. It is not just a passing doubt that will disappear quickly. It represents a complete internal conflict that demands their full attention now. On one side, there exists a strong emotional pull toward you filled with warm memories, gentle longing, and a deep sense of true belonging. On the other side stands an old, protective voice created from past pain, disappointments, and worries about getting hurt again. That protective voice urges them to remain guarded, keep distance, and choose safety above all else. These two opposing forces are colliding strongly inside them at this very moment. The pressure from this battle is becoming almost impossible for them to ignore any longer, no matter how hard they try. They might attempt to hide within their normal daily routines and activities. They could keep themselves very busy with different tasks and responsibilities around them. They may even behave as if none of this inner struggle truly matters to them, but the harder they work to bury these feelings, the more strongly those feelings press upward, seeking attention. Comment push-pull if you're experiencing their hot and cold behavior, because the real battle was never happening outside of them in the world. It has always lived deep inside their own heart and mind from the beginning, and that is precisely why their next move holds so much more importance than it might seem on the surface right now. You became an important catalyst in their personal journey through life. Even if neither of you fully understood the power of it when things first started, something about this connection challenged the protective walls they had built to survive difficult times before. It reached the version of them that existed underneath all the control, beneath the public image, and below all the careful methods they learned for self-protection over the years. Now they face a difficult and honest choice in front of them. They can choose to remain safely inside the familiar limits of the person they have always been up until now, or they can step bravely into an unknown new version of themselves that asks for courage, softness, and willingness to take emotional risks along the way. This ongoing struggle is tiring them out more than they expected it would. It appears in the inconsistent behavior you have noticed from them lately, the push and pull dynamics, the shifting between hot and cold responses, and the days when they seem ready to come closer, followed by times when they pull away again completely. This pattern is not always about manipulation or playing games with your feelings. Sometimes it simply shows what happens when a person deeply wants the connection, but also fears the personal transformation that would come along with fully accepting it. As this inner pressure continues growing stronger, it burns away many old illusions they once held. They can no longer pretend that you were just a short moment in their story or merely another person who passed through their life. They are being pushed to see you with much greater clarity than before. More importantly, they are forced to see their own true self in a new and honest light they avoided for some time. Share this if someone's distance is driving you crazy, but you know something deeper is happening. Old memories keep returning to them with fresh strength and emotion. Shared feelings from the past are being experienced again with sharper intensity than they remembered. Every period of silence now carries more meaning than it did earlier. Every moment of absence speaks louder to their heart in the current situation. And this uncomfortable inner work is truly necessary because genuine decisions never come from continued avoidance of reality. They are born only when the fog of confusion finally begins to lift away and the heart refuses to stay hidden beneath layers of fear any longer. And yes, that lifting process is actively happening even if things still feel quiet from your side. There arrives a point when carrying uncertainty becomes far too heavy for any person to bear alone, and they are reaching exactly that point in their journey now. Not because anything changed dramatically in the outside world around them, but because a divided mind cannot remain split in two directions forever without resolution. For too long, they tried managing their emotions by making them seem smaller than they truly were. They repeated to themselves that the situation was not really that serious after all. They believed they could control it, hide it away, or simply outgrow the feelings with enough time passing by. But emotions this deep and meaningful do not stay quiet and still for very long. They continue growing even during periods of silence between people. They become stronger and more mature while apart from each other. They patiently wait until the person can no longer deny their existence or importance anymore. Now those same feelings are returning in powerful waves during late nights or unexpected quiet times. They come back in memories the person did not plan to revisit at all. In the strange calm that follows a busy day, they notice how naturally their thoughts return to you again. Your presence remains like a steady low hum in the background of their daily life, no matter what else they focus upon. Distractions fail to remove the clear sense that something truly important feels missing from their world right now. And your decision to step back has played a very powerful role in creating this awareness for them. By creating space and not filling every possible moment, you allowed them to sit alone with their own private thoughts. That silence turned into a clear mirror, reflecting their inner state back to them honestly. Without your energy present to ease the distance, they had to experience the complete weight of what your absence actually created in their life. The missing comfort, the missing spark of connection, and the missing emotional safety all became more noticeable. And this realization is very important for you to remember clearly. When someone finally feels the true shape of what has been lost, they stop questioning whether it ever mattered in the first place. They begin wondering instead whether they waited too long before admitting how much it truly meant to them all along. In their private moments, they make comparisons even when they do not do so on purpose or with clear words. They measure what they experienced with you against what they feel in other areas of life. And the difference continues speaking for itself without needing any extra explanation or force. It is never really about finding perfection in another person. It goes beyond simple fantasies or ideal pictures in the mind. This is about genuine depth of feeling and connection. It concerns the rare way your presence made them feel more alive, more truly seen, and more emotionally awake than they had felt in a long time. That explains why this whole process is changing them from deep inside outward in visible ways. They are moving steadily toward making one final choice because they cannot continue living halfway committed and halfway removed any longer. They are beginning to see that the path forward requires complete honesty from them. Either they remain hiding in old, comfortable patterns and stay exactly the same as before, or they step forward into the growth and change this special connection has been calling forth from them since the very beginning. Inside their heart, fear and desire have now come face to face without any barriers left between them. They are no longer existing as separate forces, but colliding together with full power and intensity. On one side rests the warm, instinctive pull toward you that feels deeply human and natural. On the other side lives the fear of what opening the heart might eventually cost them in terms of control and safety. This fear might not even come directly from you or the current situation. It could stem from older wounds, past disappointments, or times when trust led only to pain and hurt. But no matter its original source, the fear speaks loudly in their mind right now. Yet for the first time, their desire for truth is beginning to sound even stronger than before. Comment fear if you know their silence is caused by fear of real change. That shift carries real meaning and importance for the future. It shows that something inside them is moving away from pure defense and toward honest acceptance. This explains why the push and pull energy has felt so strong and noticeable between you lately. In one moment, they feel ready to surrender to what feels real. They imagine what it might mean to stop resisting and finally follow their heart completely. Then in the next moment, fear rises up again and draws them back into doubt and hesitation. Both sides feel completely real and valid to them, which makes the struggle especially difficult to resolve quickly. Their longing feels true and genuine, while their fear feels protective and necessary for survival. So, they remain caught in the middle ground for now, not because they lack care or feelings, but because they are trying their best to survive the intense storm happening within themselves. Still, no person can remain trapped in such an inner storm forever without reaching some kind of resolution. A breaking point always arrives sooner or later in these situations. Eventually, one side gains the upper hand and leads the way forward. They will either allow fear to keep them at a safe distance or let their deeper emotions guide them into new and unknown territory ahead. This entire process is not simply about deciding on a relationship or connection. It touches the deeper question of their personal identity and who they truly want to become from this point onward in life. And that decisive moment is approaching them more quickly than they might realize right now. Up until this stage, they have lived mostly in hesitation, turning the same thoughts around repeatedly in their mind. They studied every possible sign, replayed every shared memory, and tried controlling something that actually reaches far beyond pure logic alone. But emotions carrying this much weight and meaning always demand a clear answer eventually. The confusion, the longing, and all the deep reflection have been heading toward one unavoidable point of decision. As that point gets closer, they might seem even more restless or distant from the outside. Do not misunderstand what that distance truly means in this situation. Sometimes such distance does not signal the final ending at all. Instead, it can represent the last stage right before a truth becomes impossible for them to postpone any longer. They are starting to recognize that staying stuck in the middle ground is draining their energy and peace of mind. Living as neither fully present nor completely gone has grown too expensive for their emotional health. It keeps them trapped in repeating loops without progress or resolution. It steals away their inner calm and stability over time. And now they feel pushed to take real responsibility for the feelings they carry inside. That step requires honesty, which removes all remaining excuses they once used. They must ask themselves whether they possess enough bravery to risk the safety of their known life. The risk would be for the sake of a connection that encourages them to grow beyond current limits. This whole situation carries a strong sense of finality that cannot be ignored. The time of living in maybe and uncertainty is coming to a close for them. The era of facing truth is beginning to open up clearly. Deep inside their heart, they know this connection represents far more than another passing attraction or short emotional chapter in their story. It stands as an important milestone and marker in their personal journey through life. The hesitation that once felt like smart protection now begins feeling more like a restricting prison they want to escape. They realize that avoiding the necessary choice never truly kept them safe from pain or difficulty. It only kept them stuck in one place without forward movement. And too much stillness can create its own form of deep inner pain over time. So now, the walls they depended upon for safety are cracking under the pressure. They can no longer deny the strength of what lives inside them. They notice the gap between how they truly feel and how they have been acting outwardly. They remember moments when they stayed completely silent, even though they wanted to speak their heart. They recall times when they pulled away despite wanting to move closer instead. They think about occasions when pride stood in the place where honesty should have been present. This new awareness feels uncomfortable yet also powerful because it starts closing the distance between their inner feelings and actual actions. And once that gap begins closing, change stops being merely possible for them. It becomes truly necessary and unavoidable in their life. The truth is rising to the surface in ways they can no longer twist or hide from successfully. For quite a long period, they were skilled at concealing emotions even from their own awareness. Logic served as their main shield against vulnerability. Comment truth if you can feel they're fighting with themselves about you. Distance acted as their shield and silence as their excuse to avoid reality. Yet, deep-rooted feelings cannot be hidden forever. In quiet isolation, the truth inevitably rises above the noise. This internal awakening stems from no outside pressure, but from a genuine, profound realization within. No longer able to hide behind uncertainty, they find the connection alive and present the moment the busy world slows down. This persistent return forces them to see your entire shared history in a beautiful, meaningful new light. What once seemed random now reveals a deeper purpose as they realize they weren't just missing you, they were missing the freer, more honest version of themselves that only awakened in your presence. This turning point shifts the question from whether the bond mattered to whether they are brave enough to return to the truths it revealed, even as they stay busy with work or surround themselves with others. A quiet inner current continuously draws them back to you and what remains unfinished. The protective ego is finally losing its tight grip. Weighing a safe but empty future against an unknown path of genuine connection, truth has finally become more valuable to them than fear. A strange, grounded stillness is replacing the frantic energy of indecision as they stop fighting their feelings and begin accepting them. They now see exactly where pride blocked love and where avoidance created unnecessary distance. As they revisit your shared memories with newfound maturity, they are reordering their priorities. Because maintaining an image or choosing self-protection feels utterly empty compared to the depth of something real. They are beginning to sense how their withdrawal and distance felt from your perspective, finally understanding the emotional weight you carried while they were confused. This realization is humbling them, making it much harder to hide behind cold behavior or react blindly to their own fears. As a sense of true responsibility enters their awareness, they are transitioning from passive bystanders into the active authors of their next chapter. They now recognize that their upcoming actions will reveal exactly who they choose to be, causing the final pieces of hesitation to burn away. The old patterns of should and could are being replaced by a powerful, deep must to acknowledge what feels real. They realize that staying frozen in emotional paralysis is a painful choice, and time is becoming far too precious to waste. This clarity lives physically within them, creating a quiet pressure whenever they consider reaching out or speaking their truth. While the unknown future still holds some fear, the known emptiness of remaining disconnected frightens them even more, making real movement closer and more unavoidable by the day. Whatever they choose to do next will emerge from a long, honest process of finally facing themselves without any excuses. Your presence acted as a powerful mirror, reflecting a brighter part of their potential that they had completely forgotten. Even during periods of absolute silence, your positive impact stayed with them, cutting through the mental noise and clearing their path forward. The question is no longer whether this connection affected them, but rather when they will finally act upon the undeniable truth they now feel inside. Layer by layer, their uncertainty is falling away until only a solid core remains that they can no longer pretend to ignore. They now realize that attempting to control or suppress these strong feelings only cause the inner fire to grow more powerful over time. The light has been turned on fully, and whether they move toward you or choose a different road, it will come from personal clarity rather than confusion. A grounded sense of certainty is forming within them, one that cannot be easily shaken by outside influences or their old, familiar fears. They stand directly in front of their own honest reflection, recognizing what has been lost through the distance and admitting that pretending is no longer an option. If you have been sensing these shifts, trust that inner feeling completely as this situation reaches its final, important stage. They are rapidly approaching a decision that will prove whether they are truly ready to live from a place of truth instead of continued fear. Your role during this pivotal time remains powerful yet simple. Stay centered, balanced, and clear about your own boundaries. Resist any urge to chase what is already being brought into the light by its own natural weight and importance. Let them face their own heart honestly without interference so they can fully experience the true cost of pretending their feelings are small. Their silence is transforming into self-awareness, and their confusion is becoming a focused path forward that they can no longer cross back and forth endlessly. When that decisive moment finally arrives, it will not only reveal how they feel about the connection, but who they truly are when called to show courage. If this message connects directly with what you have been sensing lately, hold on to these words for strength and comfort. The next chapter in this story is closer than it might appear from where you stand today. Sometimes the quiet period right before the truth emerges becomes the loudest and most meaningful part of the entire journey. Like this video, comment which part hit you hardest, and subscribe for more messages about the final decision they're making about you.